Hello everybody, so today I will talk about calculus. The topic today is about integration. So now I will show you the answer. Question number 1. We need to find the area of this curve in here between from 0 to number 1. Here is about this one. And the answer that should be about the integral from 0 to number 1. And you got about 2 plus s to the power of 3 ds. So we got about 2s plus s to the power of 4 over 4. And we have the boundary from 0 to number 1. For this one, so you got about 2 multiplied with number 1 plus number 1 to the power of 4 over 4. We minus 2 multiplied with number 0 plus 0 to the power of 4 over 4. And we got the final answer. You got about 9 over 4. Question number 2. We have the curve in here. And they want to ask find the area from 0 to number 1. So we have the integral from 0 to number 1. And that's about 3s squared plus s ds. Because this is about the positive, so we just put the positive side in here. And we got about 3s to the power of 3 over 3. And this one you got about s squared over 2. And we have the boundary from 0 to number 1. So we put number 1 going here, number 0 going here. And we got about 3 over 2. Question number 3. Find the area under the curve of y equal to cosine s from b over 2 to 3b over 2. Here is about b over 2, 3b over 2. So we have the integral from b over 2 to 3b over 2. And that's about cosine s ds. The integral of cosine s, you will got about negative sine s. But we know that this one is about the negative. We want to find the area. So we need to put the negative sign next to the integral in here. So we can change the negative area into the positive area. So we have the negative. And that's about sine s. And we have the boundary from b over 2 to 3b over 2. So we put this one going here, this one going here. And you got about number 2. Question number 3. If we look on the graph, we see that this one is about positive, negative, positive. So we need to find the intersection in here and here. So we put about s squared minus number 2 equals to number 0. So you got about s squared. We put negative number 2 on the right. And you got about s equal to positive and negative, the square root of number 2. So we got about negative square root of number 2 and the positive of square root of number 2. So we have the integral from negative number 2 to negative of the square root of number 2. And we have s squared minus number 2 ds. This one we need to put the negative because you got about negative in here based on the graph. So we need to put the negative so that they can change the negative into the positive. The integral from negative of the square root of number 2 to the positive of the square root of number 2. This one you got about positive, so we don't need to change the sign. The integral of this one you got about s to the power of 3 over 3 minus 2s, and we put the boundary in here. Similar for the next one. So we put the negative of the square root of number 2 going here and here. You will got about 4 multiplied with the square root of number 2 minus number 4 over 3. This one we got about positive a multiplied with the square root of number 2 over 3. And this one we got the same answer. We sum 3 numbers together and we got about 16 multiplied with the square root of number 2 minus a over 3. Now let's go to the next one. Question number 5. We have the graph and the line in here. So we have the line and the curve. We need to find the intersection in here and here. So we have 5 minus s squared equal to 3 minus s. So this one you got about negative s squared plus s, and we have 5 minus 3, you got about positive number 2. So we got about 2 solutions. So you got about negative number 1, positive number 2. So we have the integral from negative number 1 to positive number 2. And we have the curve is about 5 minus s squared minus 3 minus s ds. Because the curve in here above the line, that's why you use this one minus this one. And you got about negative s squared plus s plus 2 ds. And this one we got about negative s to the power of 3 over 3 plus s squared over 2 plus 2s. So we put number 2 going here, negative number 1 going here, and you got about 9 over 2. The next one, we need to graph the function between y equal to square root of s and y equals to s squared. The graph should be like this. So this one is about y equal to s squared. This one is about y equal to the square root of s. So we need to find the intersection in here. So we put the square for the both sides. So we got about s to the power of 4 minus s equals to number 0. So you got about s to the power of 3 minus number 1 equals to number 0. So we have two solutions. That's about s equal to number 0 and s equal to number 1. So we have the integral from 0 to number 1 because we have two intersections in here from 0 and number 1. We see that the square root of s is above than s squared. So that means the square root of s minus s squared ds. The square root of s, that's about 1 over 2. So we got about s to the power of 1 over 2 plus 1 over 1 over 2 plus 1. This one you got about s to the power of 3 over 3. And we have the boundary from 0 to number 1. So we put number 1 going here, number 0 going here, and we got about 1 over 3. And this is the answer for the question number 6. Question number 7. So we need to write y equal to s squared. That should be like this in here. And y equals to number 3. That should be in here. The area we need to find, that's about this one. So we see that number 3 and s squared, we need to find the intersection. And we got about s equal to positive and negative, the square root of number 3. So we have the integral from negative the square root of number 3 over the square root of number 3. We see that number 3 in here above than the curve. So we have 3 minus s squared ds. We got about 3s minus s to the power of 3 over 3. And we have the boundary from the negative of the square root of number 3 to the square root of number 3. And we got about, that's about 4 multiplied with the square root of number 3. This is the end. Thank you for watching.